Dawson's Rentals.
Hey YouTube, Kamen Rider here, coming at you with some Toku news today. We got some brand new scans bringing us some news about both King-ohger and Kamen Rider Gotchard. Oddly enough, Gotchard has the more exciting stuff to talk about. King-ohger's is not really anything necessarily overly new, more just sort of kind of story developments, I guess you could say. So we do know that Rackley's is back, obviously, and it's showcasing in these scans that he's going to be getting his power-up form back. You know, it's a back-and-forth one, there's not two of them, so presumably at one point he gains the upper hand and gets it back. I'll be curious to see if they end up like duplicating it ever, so they could both have the power-up at some point, whether they want to have them fight or team up or whatever. I did hear an errant rumor of like there's going to be another power-up, so maybe he gets that, and then, you know, Gira will face him with the new power-up, but I assumed he would be getting this power-up back at some point as soon as he came back, because I felt like they wouldn't waste that suit now that they have Rackley's back. The other big bit of news for King-ohger is that we do have new Kyoryu Red coming back, you know, from the Kyoryuger special, which I also assumed would happen in some form given how they've tied this together and made a big deal about it, even if it was only a one-off. Apparently, because of some of the way like the language is used and like the way he's presented in the show, he's going to be more of a series regular, at least for a little bit. I don't know if that means just for a significant arc or for the rest of the series. I do have some slight mixed feelings on it. Like, they did tie the mythology together, and I want to say that I do give them the benefit of the doubt. I was really impressed with how well done this crossover was done and the cool way they tied the mythologies together where it still felt organic. The only complaint I had about it was the episode that followed when they just kind of showcased the toys. That definitely felt more like what I was worried it would feel like. But outside of that, they integrated it really well. So the fact that they've tied these mythologies together, and Earth and Terra together, as the fact that, you know, the people who live on Terra now migrated from Earth, it makes sense, and I really hope that they even deepen the mythology on that and use that opportunity, and I think that'll actually be really cool. The only mixed feelings I have, and again, I give them the benefit of the doubt because they pulled it off when I was like full-on curmudgeon, hate Toku crossovers, and I wound up really liking it. So, benefit of the doubt, but my two worries are I just don't want it to overstay its welcome. So, depending on how it's pulled off, I hope he's not there through the end of the series and the last arc can just be about their cast. I just don't overstay the welcome. The other one just being, I'm just not a fan of the character that much. I don't hate him, but I really do hate every single, like, I guess it is to hate him in a way, but I do hate every single Toku Twerp Red. I just cannot stand that type of character, and the fact that we're going to have two on the team is really annoying. Not to mention the actor's not the best because they hired him from their stunt work, so you have a character that's both the annoying type of character I like and isn't a very good performer, so those are my only reservations about that. But anyway, the bigger stuff is happening over on Kamen Rider Gotchard. I mean, we do have like a scan picture of this, but we also see it in the preview for next week's episode, which is going to be the debut of what looks to be a villainous rider called Kamen Rider Dread, which is a pretty cool name, pretty cool suit too. I mean, honestly, suits aren't the problem with Gotchard. For the most part, you know, there's some I like less, some I like more, but I do really, in general, like the ecosystem of suits. And this one's no exception. I think it looks really awesome. There's been at least a quasi-decent build-up to it, and I think it'll be interesting to have a different dynamic, so I am excited by that, and I like the suit. The other stuff is, looks like we're getting our first significant upgrade via this new, like, EX item. It's kind of like a sword driver thing that's going to facilitate his new transformation. This thing did pop up a while ago, pictures of it. I mean, first a rumor of it and then pictures of it, but it wasn't worth doing a full video on. And as far as, like, a device, it looks fine. I really don't have any too many life-changing thoughts on it. I'm not like, oh my god, this is the coolest Henshin device I've ever seen, and I don't think it looks like garbage. It's just fine. It looks to be with these, and I could be wrong, that the reason for this device is so that he can just use the one card and it's not really a mix. Because, you know, obviously, you know, the gimmick for Gotchard is like he mixes together two chemis for his forms that create like an amalgam. Hey, amalgam, you know. But these look to just be based off of UFO and Rex. And I think that's the whole point of the devices. It just allows them to use one because they're level 10s and they make a big deal about that in the show, about how they're not able to be harnessed. And of course, Specialist Boy Gotchard is going to be able to do it. So I think that's the idea here, though, is that because they're already level 10 and the other cards have to add up to 10. So if you're just 10 by yourself, then you can just use it, which I think defeats kind of the whole purpose of the alchemy bit, but I think that's the whole point. But it facilitates the transformation for our two new forms. It's one of those slight evolution things where he's kind of got like two super forms, one of which is one we've been leading up towards, which is UFO, because we've had a little mini arc about the UFO chemi in the last couple episodes, which is actually kind of nice, having a nice build up to it. It's funny because I was thinking how we debuted these other two like Gold Dash forms, which kind of look like more significant forms. I'm like, this is getting no story. It feels like this UFO story should be going to this, but the UFO story is going towards this upcoming form, which I actually kind of like. It definitely leans towards one of the more silly looking forms, but I do just kind of dig it. I think it just looks really unique, and I kind of like the saucer aspect, and I don't know if it leans toward cool, but I don't know, I just do kind of dig it. So the other one for Super Gotchard is Cross Rex, another Dinos again, which looks a little bit loud. It almost looks like it's from a different Toku series, like when you see someone post like, oh, check out this other Toku series from a different country, and they're kind of these cool but more loud looking designs, but it looks pretty cool too, I have to say. In general, they're not my favorite. I do kind of like the slicker look of like the main Gotchard suit and some of the other forms, rather than these more bulky forms that look almost cartoony, but they're definitely not bad at all. I do appreciate the vibrancy of Rex, and like I said, I actually do dig UFO quite a bit. I think it's actually pretty cool. But like I said, forms are not the problem with Gotchard. I really do like the design. I like a lot about just the concept of the cards and the chemis and stuff. It's just, the show obviously isn't delivering very much, but it looks like there is finally stuff happening, which is kind of nice. Like, I am actually going to record an episode review this week. I said I was only going to go through episode 10, but then like right after episode 10 is when we're starting this arc where things happen, so I at least want to cover the next few episodes and see what's going to happen. I'll probably repeat a little bit of this in this week's review, but the show's going to have to do a lot of work to get me completely invested, as, you know, there's very generic story going on. I can't stand any of the characters. Well, I mean, I guess I only can't stand Hotaro. Everyone else I'm just pretty much apathetic about. But they're going to have to do a lot of work in that regard. But I'm admittedly at least curious now that things are starting to happen, because so little has happened. I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do, Gotchard? What do you got? You know, so looks like stuff's finally happening with... We did have a bit of a nice lead into this UFO form and to Kamen Rider Dread, so I'm hoping that they're able to at least deliver something that'll keep me more interested. But in the meantime, these new suits look pretty good. I mostly just like Kamen Rider Dread. I think it looks pretty badass. I don't foresee me getting much of the merch. It doesn't seem like most people are interested in seeing me review the Rider merch. Not to mention, I was kind of burned by the Gotchard driver having that crappy card reader, which took me back to my old Deca driver, and I'm not interested in getting another faulty product. Not to mention, not enjoying the show hardly inspires you to be excited about that. But I am excited by King-ohger. I am a little bit skeptical of this stuff that's going to be happening, just because I don't want it to overstay its welcome with crossover stuff, and the idea of having two obnoxious loudmouth Reds is not fun. But they've really proven me wrong most of the time, so I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for more King-ohger crossover content with Kyoryuger? Are you seeing these new Gotchard forms and liking what you're seeing? You know, are you thinking this might be a turnaround for Gotchard? Let me know what you think in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Awesome Rider, signing out.